Welcome to Lean Into Excellence, a Workstream Consulting podcast. I'm Liz Crescenti.
And I'm Marco Bonilla.
And we will be your hosts as we embark on our continuous improvement journey. Welcome back to another episode of Lean Into Excellence. I'm Liz Crescenti.
And I'm Marco Bonilla.
And today, first off, let's celebrate. This is our 20th episode. We finally made it to 20. They said you only need to make it to like 25 and then you're smooth sailing.
So we're not smooth sailing.
We're not.
Yet,
we're
Liz.
still bumpy.
No.
We're still in the
and
back
by
of
the
the bus.
by the way, we started early January of last year.
Yeah, it's been 1 year.
So it has been a year, right? Exactly a year.
1 year
we're
of
celebrating.
content, 1 year of our beautiful voices serenading your ears and just preaching the gospel of continuous improvement.
That's right. Liz, do they give out awards like Oscars or Emmys for podcasters?
They do, but I don't even think we're on the radar yet. So we got a little work to do before
we don't rate?
recognized.
We don't rate. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you to all the listeners we've accrued over the past year. Always
Absolutely.
make sure you like and subscribe because we're just a little shop here that could benefit from people just sharing a podcast. So
Yeah.
we're
actually, I'm impressed. We've gotten a lot of feedback from people, and we've gotten a lot of questions, and a lot of people logging in from other parts of the world, not just the U.S., which is fantastic.
It's fantastic. We've really, really enjoyed our time so far. And we have a really exciting 2025 lineup. We have some really great guests coming on in the next few months. We are kind of building out our content, and just stay tuned because you're in for a treat. We got some really great guests, some great key opinion leaders in the industry. So we're excited for that. All right. So what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the role of client and suppliers, right? Customers and suppliers. How suppliers help the process of producing products or services, right? And why customers or clients should support suppliers in their goal for continuous improvement.
Yeah, and I think it's important to kind of acknowledge how vital suppliers are to the different industries. I mean, we're obviously used to, defense and manufacturing, our specialties, but they're not just vendors. They truly are partners in delivering quality and innovation.
Oh, absolutely, Liz, right? I mean, unless there's a company that does soup to nuts and it controls the whole process, you need to be partnered with your suppliers. Suppliers can break you in some cases, right?
No, I mean, a single defect from a supplier can cause massive delays. It can jeopardize safety.
Timing,
can be critical.
Exactly. Delivery schedules, we could go on, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a massive supplier. It doesn't have to be one of your top 10 key suppliers. Any of the suppliers that delivers something to you that's meaningful needs to be supported, right?
Yes, absolutely. So adopting Six Sigma and continuous improvement initiatives for supplier management or supply quality, it's not just a strategy. It's really, I feel it's a necessity for these industries. And there's many different, reasons for this. But I think kicking it off, I think it truly is ensuring consistent quality standards. So Marco, can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Oh, absolutely. Just like anything in our lives, no one likes surprises, right? So if you're running a program and you depend on suppliers, you want a consistent delivery, not just on time, but what you asked for, right? At the cost you had agreed to. So quality standards is critical, right? So when you develop a relationship with the supplier and you expect a certain level of quality every single time without skipping a beat, it's critical to your function, right? There's no way around it.
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to have a delivery of some percentage fallout every time you get a delivery, right? So you want to make sure that the product is always up to snuff, right? You always want it consistent. I know this is kind of a stretch example, and sorry for any vegans out there, but if you go to McDonald's in Boston or go to McDonald's in Washington State, you expect the same consistency of quality, right?
Yes.
You don't want any surprises. You don't expect a McDonald's burger, a Big Mac in Washington State or in Boston to be any different from each other. So as a
Exactly.
client, we expect the same product over and over again.
I think one example, not just McDonald's, I think everyone can relate to their coffee order. If you go to a coffee joint, somewhere in, your hometown and they have the same one across the country, and you even if it's not even across the country, it can be just another location in your, zip code. And you're like,
Right.
oh, they didn't make it the same. It's just, it's a
Yeah,
huge
there's some,
letdown.
some lack of standards. No, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about coffee. It's funny because we teach classes. We sometimes use making coffee as an example of a process that you'd like to lock down, right?
Hmm.
Everything about the coffee making, the beans, how you store them, when you grind them, the water you use, right? The quality of water. Do you filter the water? I mean, is it just standard tap water? How
Yeah.
do you clean out your vessels, right? I mean, the machinery you use.
What's the temperature the water is heated? So,
Right. So as a client, right? Because it only takes one bad review to derail your revenue stream. Quality standards is critical when it comes to supplier, right? The
mhm.
suppliers gain a lot, obviously, from having high quality, but the client or the customer also gains by having consistent quality coming into their facilities, whatever that is.
Yes. And these continuous improvement frameworks, like Six Sigma, they're going to help standardize those processes. They're going to help reduce that variability. And then ultimately, they're going to ensure that these suppliers are consistently meeting the specifications that they are supposed to put forth.
Exactly. But you have to have a liaison. You need someone internal to your company that's very proactive working with your suppliers, right? You need to
Hmm.
understand because, again, no one likes surprises. So if something's going to happen, you want to know in advance how to derail that issue, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that kind of takes us to our kind of next pillar, minimizing risk and enhancing reliability.
Yeah. So one of the issues is, well, if the supplier is delivering on time and delivering quality, you might be able to help them to not so much a consistent quality in the sense of what you're receiving, but maybe it's taking them twice or three times the effort to get those parts or service out to you, right? You don't know what's it costing them. Maybe they're having issues that you're not seeing. It might not be affecting you now, but it might be affecting you down the road because maybe they can't sustain what they're doing, right? I mean, if they produce 10 squares and they only get out 7 or 5 every single time they meet deliveries, but they're scrapping the remainder, that's material and effort and cost that they just don't need, right? So how do you make them a better supplier to themselves?
Yeah, and that kind of takes us to the next one, which is, driving cost savings across the supply chain.
Yeah, it's important to understand, but it doesn't always happen that sometimes because of a great partnership, if the cost to the supplier has dropped some kind of significant, sometimes they will pass on some of that savings onto you, onto your program. They
Sometimes.
sometimes it's not a
Sometimes is the key
guarantee,
word.
but there's relationship in both directions, right? And
Yep.
so there's a time and place where the supplier says, they did really right by us. We've improved our cost structure. Our margins have gone up. We can afford to give some kind of percent back, right?
Yeah.
Which really improves that relationship with the client, which
Oh,
is fantastic.
absolutely.
The other thing
Absolutely.
is the other thing is if the supplier is already kind of on the edge of faltering as a business, this helping them drive their costs down is fantastic because it'll keep them alive longer, right? So one of the things we'll kind of get into is what it costs a customer to requalify a new supplier. You never want to go down that path. If you're happy with the supplier and what they produce, you want to do everything in your power to keep them alive and well, right? Not just alive, you want them thriving.
Yeah.
Because requalifying a new, depending what industry you're in or what product or service they're supplying, it can be very costly for you as the customer to requalify a new supplier, right? And we don't want to go down that path.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you want to make sure it's the right relationship and that when you do find that right supplier, that you sustain that relationship. Because, like you said, it can really get costly. It can, take a lot of time to find a new supplier. So You really want to foster that relationship and just build a strong partnership.
Right, right. And the other thing is, you're educating the supplier on tools and techniques on be better, right? More efficient, higher quality. Of course, they're going to use that knowledge to improve their business as a whole, not just the part of it that supplies you. That's
Yep.
great. That's fine, right? I mean, we're here to share knowledge. We're here to improve, you know, and that's part of the process of, what, once they start speaking that continuous improvement language, at least when something else comes up, right? As a partnership, you both be on it together, right? It's not it's not me scolding you for something that went wrong. They'll get ahead of it and say, you know what, we got this issue. We're going to deal with it. Here's our plan, right? Here's the things we've identified. Here's how we're going to address it. Here's how we're going to control it. And they're proactive about continuous improvement, not reactive only when the client says, oh, this isn't right. Something's not right here.
There's a common I mean, we say this till we're blue in the face, but it's adapting that proactive mindset because, we see it all the time coming into a reactive situation that easily could have been prevented. It's just building out that proactive mindset and culture and, tying your supplier to it.
Oh, absolutely, Liz. I think it's critical anytime you bring on a supplier that you understand a fundamental level of what are they going to do instead of a reaction team, a proaction team, right? You want to be able to get ahead of any potential issues because suppliers have suppliers too. I've worked with suppliers that said, you know what, this isn't really our fault per se. We didn't cause the problem, but we also didn't do anything to get into our supply, excuse me, our supplier heads, right? How do we support them in this process?
One thing I think is very beneficial for the supplier is essentially strengthening their competitive advantage. They're always in, it's a highly competitive market and they're trying to excel in quality and efficiency and reliability. And by doing that, it's going to give them a strategic edge in the marketplace.
Yeah, because one of the things that happens is once they start going down the continuous improvement process, they start really understanding what makes their company tick or what factors or levers really move the needle. And from a competitive point of view, from a supplier point of view, it's really great when you have a really understanding of your own business and how to lower, for example, cost. And cost isn't everything, but cost is fundamental to anything that if you become higher quality or more efficient, right?
Yep.
So in the marketplace when you're, in the market when you're competing with other companies, you don't have the same struggles potentially that they do anymore. Once you've identified what those pain points are in your company, right? So again, continuous improvement of all kinds is key to competitive advantage. Again, because again, if you can lower your cost and get products to the customer much quicker than your competition, you've won that battle, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Do you have anything more on this?
The other part of the advantage that you have is that you become more agile. You become flexible and adaptable to more orders or more product, right? So what you could barely handle before, now you can 2x, 3x times the amount of work, right? And you're probably more efficient because now you need less people on those product lines and you can spread them out to other revenue generating areas of your company, right? You start addressing the non-value added stuff, you start removing all that or minimize it as much as possible. Now you have people that can handle more product and more services than you could before. So that adaptability and flexibility is really important for that competitive advantage compared to maybe what the competitor is doing now, right? Or what you were doing previously to delving into the continuous improvement world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just to wrap up, implementing these, Six Sigma and continuous improvement initiatives for suppliers, it's not just about fixing problems, it's really about unlocking their potential. And essentially you're also creating a supply chain that's reliable, it's cost effective, and it's built for the future. So these principles can really give you as the company and as the supplier the edge you need in that competitive market. And thank you for tuning in today. You can find Marco and I at workstreamconsulting.com or info@workstreamconsulting.com. And we will see you next time. Thanks, Marco. Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
great one, Liz.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you envision a scenario in your operations where, despite your team's best efforts, there are persistent inefficiencies or bottlenecks that seem resistant to change? What kind of impact would resolving those issues have on your bottom line? Here's where the team at Workstream Consulting can help. We are a small but mighty group of 10 master black belts, each who pack 25 to 30 years experience. Our consultants have seamlessly navigated all 11 GICS stock market sectors, and together, we've delivered cumulative savings exceeding over $1 billion for our clients. Our approach is designed for immediate impact without the need for lengthy hiring and onboarding processes. Contact us today so we can help you